Students, myself Miss Rachna Jain, Associate Professor, Department of English, Government PG College, Rajgarh, Alwar. Today in this video lecture, I will tell you some introduction to the poet G.M. Hopkins and his major works as well as his poem. This poem, The Sea and the Skylark, is mentioned in the syllabus of BA Part 3rd, English Literature, Paper 1st, Unit A. Today's topics of this video lecture are Introduction to the poet G.M. Hopkins, his major works, and about the poem The Sea and the Skylark. So students, now I will give you a brief introduction to the poet G.M. Hopkins. The full name of G.M. Hopkins was Gerard Manley Hopkins. He was born on July 28 in 1844, Stratford-upon Essex in England, and he died June 8, 1889 in Dublin. Hopkins was the eldest son of the 9 children of Manley Hopkins, an Anglican who had been British Consul General in Hawaii and had himself published verse. Hopkins won the Poetry Prize at the Highgate Grammar School, and in 1863 he was awarded a great grant to study at Balliol College, Oxford, where he continued writing poetry while studying classics. In 1866, in the prevailing atmosphere of the Oxford movement, which renewed interest in the relationships between Anglicanism and Roman Catholicism, he has received into the Roman Catholic Church by John Henry Newman. And then he became a lecturer in the university, and finally he decided to become a priest. He entered the Jesuit novitiate in 1868 and burned his youthful verses, determining to write no more as not belonging to my profession. In 1874, Hopkins went to North Wales, and there he learned Wales under the impact of the language itself as well as that of the poetry, and encouraged by his superiors, he began to write poetry again. Moved by the death of 5 Franciscan nuns in a shipwreck in 1875, he broke his 7-year silence to write the long poem, The Wreck of the Deichland, in which he succeeded in realizing the echo of a new rhythm that had long been haunting his ear. But it was rejected. He also wrote a series of sonnets strikingly original in their richness of language and the use of rhythm, including the remarkable Windover, one of the most frequently analyzed poems in the language. He continued to write poetry, but it was read only in manuscript by his friends and his fellow poets, Robert Bridges and some others. Their appreciation of the poem was imperfect, but they were nevertheless encouraging. In 1866, at the age of 22, he converted to Roman Catholicism. 2 years later, he joined the Jesuit Society, and in 1877 was ordained to priesthood. Several issues brought about this melancholic state and restricted his poetic inspiration during the last 5 years of his life. His workload was extremely heavy. He disliked living in Dublin, away from England and friends. He was also disappointed at how far the city had fallen from its poetry. His general health deteriorated as his eyesight began to fall. He felt confined and dejected. As a devout Jesuit, he found himself in an artistic dilemma: to subdue any egotism which would violate the humility required by his religious position. He decided never to publish his poems, but Hopkins realized that any true poet requires an audience for criticism and encouragement. The conflict between his religious obligations and his poetic talent caused him to feel that he had failed both them. Hopkins' poems were not published in his own lifetime. After his death, his friend Robert Bridges published them in 1918. Hopkins has been described as the greatest of Victorian poets, but on the account of the date of the publication and the spirit of experience dealt in this poem, Hopkins belongs more to the 20th century. His sprung rhythm, a technical term meaning the combination of the usual regularity of stress pattern with freely verifying numbers of syllables in each line. He used the word "inscape" for a sort of concentration of inventing compound words. He used the words interest for the force of these qualities on the mind. Hopkins' poetry belongs to the modernism in more than one way. It belongs to modernism on the basis of the subject matter, its use of language, and the experimentation in rhythm and syntax. There is a questioning of the relationship of God to man and man to nature. Hopkins' poems were not published in his lifetime. After his death, his friend Robert Bridges published them in 1918. Hopkins has been described as the greatest of the Victorian poets. The major works of Hopkins are The Wreck of the Deutschland, The Windower, his notebooks, his letters. His notebooks, edited by H. H. House, have been published 1937. His notebooks contain valuable and interesting prose passages. His letters, which are very valuable and interesting, have been edited by C. Abbott in 1935 to 1938. Hopkins was a religious poet who saw God's glory in the beauty and the splendor of nature. But his last poems, which are called the Terrible Sonnets, were written at a time when he was physically and mentally ill. They convey a sense of gloom and despair. Introduction of the poem. The poem The Sea and the Skylark is a sonnet, a poem of 14 lines. It was originally titled Walking by the Sea. In this sonnet, the sea and the skylark are described in the octave, the first 8 lines of the poem. These are contrasted with man in sestet. Sestet means 6 lines or the concluding lines of the poem. The mood of the poet is joyous in the octave, where he describes the natural sounds of the sea and the skylark singing. But with the very first line of the sestet, the mood changes to one of the gloom and despondency atmosphere. The remaining lines of the sestet are deeply pessimistic. The poet foresees the total decline and even desolation of human race. The poem ends with a deep sense of loss at the thought that man is losing his identity and destroying his pattern. The theme of this sonnet is a contrast between the life-giving purity of nature and the sordidness of the civilization that man is creating. The town mentioned in the poem is Rhyl in Wales, but the poem is not an attack particularly on the town or the Welsh people. It is a general meditation on nature and man occasioned by the particular scene. So in this video lecture, I gave you a brief introduction to the poet Hopkins and his major works, and in the last I told you the setting of the poem or about the poem. In the next video I will teach you the entire poem, The Sea and the Skylark, with explanation and context. So thank you for listening to my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.